Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Serbian Corner, a show where a couple of Serbians talk about the Nuggets. We're on the DNVR YouTube channel, DNVR Nuggets podcast feed. My name is Voja. Today with me, as always, is Miroslav, hailing from Pančevo. What's up, man?
Hello from Pancho. Hello from a warm Pancho. I think we're finally done with winter. Cross my fingers, so we'll see.
Man, that's what I thought last week. I went fishing. It was nice, and then it snowed this week. So we'll see. Hopefully we'll keep it. Today is a good. It's a good day. It's a Santana concert here in Omaha. So
Oh,
let's
nice.
go. Yeah. So what this show is going to be is we do a weekly recap of Nuggets basketball, quick takeaways, main themes, everything else. So if you haven't, if you're watching us for the first time, it's kind of what a rundown of what we kind of do. We do some segments in Raki Shots, zero take fouls, Borex, and all that good stuff in between. Today's show is going to be a fun one. Finally, we were like talking about it during the week. Like, man, are they going to lose again and have two losses in a row again when we have to talk about them? But luckily, we had one of the best nights in Nuggets history, recent history, whatever you want to call it. Shout out to one of the Philly fans that said he's sick and tired of Serbian fans that have been watching the game NBA for the last 5 to 10 years,
No,
thinking
no.
they know basketball.
Actually, watching basketball for five
Basketball
or
for
ten
the
years. Yeah,
last 5 to 10 years, and so
best
we
take
have
ever.
apparently according to Philly fans we have a short basketball span of watching only Jokic. Jokic was the only one because for us to watch basketball. So it was one of my favorite tweets ever, one of my favorite opinions ever that we don't know nothing about basketball.
Beautiful.
Um,
Thank you, Philly
so
fan.
so
Thank you.
yeah, so that intro will give us a good resume for this game. We have only 5 to 10 years of experience and only about the Nuggets. So Monte Morris is the greatest point guard ever. So
Yeah, let's use those 5 years we
yes,
watched
that's
the game.
that's
Yeah.
it. So we're gonna start off with the Rakia shots. Raki is our Serbian national alcoholic drink, usually taken before dinner to make a toast. So this segment will be a quick headline, something something strong that made an impression. Usually we digress when talking about rakia because that's what usually people do when you drink rakia. You kind of start talking and forget about dinner sometimes. But so we'll have borax later for our main dish. But so we'll start off with basically it's the biggest thing this week is it's Nuggets clinching the playoffs. We don't have to go into the play-in. All our worries that we're going to face the Clippers and and another like Pelicans long Pelicans team is finally like settled. We don't have to worry now. And then we have obviously we had the headband game and the statistical historic milestone for Jokic this Thursday. So yeah, start us off. Like, what's your overall opinion? Overall feeling? Did you watch the game live and stress, or you were lucky enough to watch the replays and already know what happened?
Yeah, my clock was my alarm was set for the second half, and when I saw that there was already 20 points difference in Nuggets favor, I just slept the dream of a proud man, and I knew I will enjoy that the morning afterwards, and I'm really glad I did because those stressful last minutes of will Nikola make that shot for 31 or not uh, lasted for like a year in fantasy time. So yeah, before
Yeah,
the game I had only two wishes. One wish was of course the win, so we would clinch the number 6 seed, at least the number 6 seed, and the other wish was for Nikola to actually get to those 31 points because I don't want I didn't want him to play against the Lakers. I want to
yeah,
get that
exactly. Yeah.
extended rest of like 10 days or something like that before the first round of playoffs, and we got both of those things. It was a really fantastic game, one of the greatest wins of this season for sure. I mean, the Grizzlies came in their strongest possible shape, without
Well,
Jamorant.
well, oh, without Jamorant, yeah.
Yeah, they've been like
Oh,
20
you
and
think?
2
Oh, so
before
that's your hot
before
take. They're
that.
just better. Okay, okay, fair.
They've been 20 and 2 without him before. So, yeah, luckily Nuggets overcame the adversity and won that game. And kudos to Grizzlies for what they've did. this season. Kudos to Darko Rajakovic, the assistant coach on
Yeah.
the Grizzlies, our Serbian guy who is there for the first year this year. So I think it is his first year. So
Yeah.
a great team and a greater win because of that. I was looking at that record since like December, since a guy named Joe on Twitter asked if anyone had made 2,000 points, 1,000 rebounds, and 500 assists before in history. I checked that back in December, so it didn't happen ever. So I was kind of tracking that during the season, and as soon as the last games approached, it became real tense about it, and it's cool. It's cool. I mean, I like that we have as simple as of a statistical category we can show to the rest of the league to stop that silly, I don't want the computer to choose the MVP for me. And it's really important for Nikola to win this second MVP to become the 13th player in league history, to become a consecutive MVP in the league. So kudos to Nikola, and hopefully the voters will see everything we saw.
Yeah,
As
it
well.
was a man. You were lucky to see it on. You already know the outcomes because it was one of the most stressful. Just like a weird, because you said like it's right. It's an arbitrary stat. It's nothing like. I mean, all obviously like all those milestones are like it doesn't technically matter, but like it matters in a context of like, oh wow, this is one of the greatest seasons. Like I talked about it in the Now Get Serbia podcast like a few minutes ago. Just that's like 20 over 82 games. That's like 24, 12, and 6. So like when you think about if Jokic has every game 24, 12, and 6, you obviously that's great, but then like you look at specifically that box score, you're like, oh, he had a mediocre game. Like we would say like, oh, it was a pedestrian game. And thinking about that's how long the season is, how many injuries they can have. Like it's crazy that no one else had it. That Wilt was like 8 points away, or like one season he would be like a few assists away. Like that he couldn't in that like not quick a lot of possession era of basketball where he had so many points, so many rebounds and stuff that he never had. It was so that's was like the crazier one was, and it obviously was the only one that had 1998 and 1,500, but it's still like it's not this. It doesn't sound the same, and it was also like it's 2,000 2K 1K 500, but he also had almost 600 and also had 100 steals on top of that, so it's even
Yeah.
a little bit more of a boost for him. But just that 2K 1K 500, no one else has it. That's his only club, and it's a really nice round numbers. When you like average it out, it's really like a really good really good line because it's consistency through the whole season through every category. That's the craziest part. The one the during watching it was, again, I was saying like I never been that mad for Nuggets playing the right way as I've been that like third and beginning of the fourth quarter, because they were trying to force it, but he wasn't. Obviously, after the double triple team him, he's obviously going to pass, and then the other guys would make good reads, and they would get open shots for everyone else, which is the point of the point of basketball.
Yeah.
It just that at that point we're like, come on, just do it, because it was on the knife's edge. Like, there's no reason to risk it and having him in there for 20 at plus 25 in that mindset of like I have to score, I have to force it, because I was just like thinking, man, just don't get hurt, just because those are the situations you get hurt. You kind of won the game. You're so close to the record. You're not maybe thinking about anything else. Your balance. You're like, your instincts are a little off there. So just don't get hurt. Screw the points ultimately. Like if he's gonna get messed up for playoffs, especially after that elbow that happened in the beginning. When I'm in my head, I'm thinking, man, Donovan Mitchell missed 3 weeks for concussion protocol, like with side effects of concussion, like a few months ago. So I'm like, just please don't be that. Don't be like I don't know in English what the bone is above the eyebrow. Um, the we call like arcada and like in Serbian, but it's like
Yeah.
it really bleeds. You have to stitch it, so man even played. Which again, it wasn't even just for the record. Like they were down by 12 when he wasn't playing in those few minutes.
That's right.
And then he came back and it was like plus 12 at 25-25. Like it was plus 37 in this game. Just it was out of this world. And again, it was just stressful. I was watching with one of my good friends, like he was in Germany, and so we're like texting, and just every point, like kind of like T minus 25, and he started off like slower again because of the headband stuff. Then Gordon started making shots. Barton was like doing the it's Barton time because Jokic wasn't in the game. Like it was just one of the crazier games, and I've obviously ended up great, and it ends up even crazier than you would expect. Like he didn't even get those points at when he was supposed to. He had to come back because they went from plus 30 to 18 in like 3 minutes, and it was 7 minutes left. Like we've seen Utah collapse like a few times this week with that much much of an advantage. Like so Malone was like, it wasn't. I mean, it was stat padding to a point of like let's put, but it was like, oh no, I actually have to put him back in to secure this to get it a few more minutes of like positive advantage, because if they get it down to 5 minutes and it's plus 15-10, that's a winnable game for Memphis. Like it was just hilarious. Like and eventually he got it. I was saying like, oh, it's the ultimate Sombor double if he's missed by 2 points, because you're not going to put him in a Lakers game for those 2 points. Like it's absurd. So yeah, that was insane. I mean,
and that elbow to the forehead is what actually makes the game epic, because Jordan had the flu game, and LeBron had some games as well. So
yeah, he had the forced like 3 rims last year in the play-in. Like I shot for the middle rim and all that.
Oh yeah,
when he got poked in the eye, like that was one of his too.
Yeah, that's right. So basically, epic games, a game that I will for sure remember forever, as much as
because it's so dumb. Like they end up being like with red details that game. Like it could have been just the regular blue or white, and it would have been might not even be that noticeable. But with that red and his red like tights, and it was just so weird. Like it was his basically like his highest Pokemon evolution into like the YMCA guy.
Yeah, there is a rule, and the NBA established that everybody need to have the same color, not to look like a circus out there.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So yeah, but on him,
but to choose the red, but that's the thing is like the chances of them having a red design that game for whatever reason, and then it's like the Deadpool thing, like, oh, why are you wearing red, like so they don't see me bleed. It kind of worked out here. So
that's right.
And Memphis unfortunately didn't have their brown pants on, but.
Ooh, you're savage today. Okay,
that was the
excellent game. I really enjoyed the fallout after it. And you mentioned he could have been just the guy with 1998 1500, and we would still love him for that, because that would be the ultimate summer double. But on the other hand, we wouldn't get all of those nice banners, all over the NBA and all over.
He wouldn't have been on the ESPN like plastered. That's and all this. He would have been like, oh, it was so close and nothing. So that was fun. And then as far as like you mentioned about the computer and the statistics, that whole discourse is so weird to me. Like it's so strange that people give it that they're that I mean, okay, you're invested in the MVP, you want him to, and you're rooting, but to spend that much time online and argue is so crazy. Like we do a couple of podcasts, and I don't spend that much time. Like I spend time on Twitter. I like trying to keep up with the news and everything. But you see, like and if I didn't have like some people that are in that that I followed they jump into that discourse, I wouldn't even see it a lot of the times, because on my timeline I just try to follow as like just regular like people that just it's an interaction, like fun conversation, nothing like. But this is just crazy. I mean, you had the tweet with the free throws, and some guys, the guy made the comment to like 5 to 10 year guys, Serbians that haven't watched basketball and pretend to know basketball, and it's like, and you were antagonizing, like you're in one of those like categories of like you're pissing them off on purpose with the statistics.
I was feeling myself yesterday.
I know, but
so
I mean, like
I just let it fly yesterday.
But I have to like we talked about this is like we got to be real, like you're one in that group of people that are like, come on man, like because you're starting, then you start the whole like comment section between, then it just pops on my timeline, then I get pissed off that I'm seeing these like dumb comments, and it's always, but it's because it's arguments on no one like is actually presenting like a valid argument like that. You antagonized them on purpose, like that was obviously there.
Yeah, sure.
And you presented like a parsed out section of statistics that are just like trolling them. But then you have these like, supposedly these like authoritative people in basketball, like, the guys talked about Drew Hanlon, and he's presenting it as like a specific fact and objective truth. of these statistics that what they show is right, and it's like no, but actually your business depends on Embiid winning the MVP. Like you have to prep if you want to if you want to have a truthful conversation, those have to be preface like, hey, this is my job, like, but these are the reasons why Embiid's good, not because why Jokic is bad, because they become charlatans. Like a lot of these arguments are just completely missing the point of why the MVP award is important. It's like celebrating the greatness of one season, not just like arguing about who has the VORP is the one that gets mentioned the most because it's funny sounding.
Yeah.
And but it's that discourse. Like we had Matt Moore once on our show in Nugget Serbia, like, and he had a great, that was his like talk about statistics and how sometimes it's easier to get trapped inside of analytics and these spreadsheets and stuff, and it always has to be complementary. Like eye test can be only eye test, but also statistics can be only statistics. Like you have to marry the two. You have to marry the context of why. Like of course, like there's one guy from 538 that made a thread about why Jokic's defensive numbers in these advanced analytics are also the reason why they're like that. And he broke down those models of like, hey, he has a lot of contested twos, a lot of defensive rebounds because he doesn't have help in rebounding. He's surrounded by people, so those are valued in the weight of the equation. It's like a lot of these guys that are against advanced stats, they don't even understand why. Like they don't. You have to understand model. Obviously, like, oh, I don't want to do math. This is sports. Like, but if you're gonna disparage them or use them, like Nick Wright had he's using them for LeBron against Jordan, but he's disparaging him in the Jokic arguments, and it's like you got to understand. And he doesn't probably know the mathematical models of these. Like, why are they weighted so much? Like, of course, Jokic is not like a top 5 defender in the league. There's a reason for some of these, but you put context. But if 15 models show that he's the best offensive player in the league, you might want to believe it. Like it's then it can't
There's
all
something
be
there. There's
yeah.
something there.
Or you put in the work and go and watch the film, get get those models, break them down, and say this type of basketball the Jokic plays wasn't predicted in those models when at that point he's that revolutionary that he broke those models because of his style of play. So, but I think he's not as good because of these things that I pulled out. But you have to then take your time. You just can't just go out and like talk out of your ass about he doesn't look good, like that. And that's why computers are wrong. Like that's why I hated that discourse, because all the guys like Booker has the arguments, Luka has the arguments, Embiid, Giannis, Jokic, like they're all, whoever wins, they would, you couldn't say like this is trash. Like it's not like they would give Aaron Gordon the MVP no matter how good he is. Like that would be like, what the hell's going on here? This is shenanigans. Or LeBron, some of those, like they're clearly like not like these guys are all worthy. And my always arguments would be like, let's prop why they're good and compare, like what Adam was doing one of these days. Like he just presented the facts and didn't even say who he thinks the MVP is. We think it's Jokic, obviously, and like we watch him a lot, but who knows? Maybe like you're watching Philly, and you look at these like trolling from the analytics stuff, and you like get upset because Embiid's not in them because of whatever reason. And the style of play that he has maybe not doesn't like coalesce with the advanced analytics. So it's just kind of annoying, the whole discourse, but like that's why like I'm happy that Jokic got also the basic statistics, but then you look at him too, like his eye test is great and all the statistics fills it up like with it. So, and then Dave DeFore, I gotta so give him a shout out, he was on the DVNR post game and he talked about why Jokic is a good defender. I'm not gonna repeat it because like it's just look at in the previous episode. It's amazing. Like that's pretty much like you can clip that out and put it on his like MVP clips and like Oscar clips. This is why he's not just like a one-sided player. So it was just so annoying. I had to get out of my system because I was just like fuming the whole week. Like I was making tweets and deleting them in my drafts. Like I don't want to get involved in this, and then I was waiting for for like we can talk about it here. So
that was Coach Dave speaking. He couldn't resist.
Yeah.
Because 95%, 99% of people who talk about basketball have no idea how the defense works at all, and they have to rely on an amateur kind of eye test and also on analytics. And
Yeah.
If the guy you don't like, that doesn't look the way you think the good defender should look like, then they will try to disparage it. And that's the life we live in. Basketball is luckily one of the most benign spheres of
Yeah.
living. So
Yeah, seriously, that's the problem. Is like those kind of, because that also is a mirror of like what happens with like real issues and real,
that's right.
like that kind of presenting just like skewed facts and figures and numbers. And it's like if only it would stop at sports. Like if only
That's
it
right.
would be just arguing about MVPs in that like fake newsy type of way on either side.
We would be an amazing
Yeah,
planet.
it would be a great planet. Yeah. Unfortunately, that translates into like other societal
So again,
stuff. Yeah.
congrats to Nikola for this amazing achievement. It was a dream of mine for several months, and I actually thought he wouldn't pull it off because the points number is insane
It's absurd. Yeah. Yeah.
for a guy that, and I published this a couple of days ago on Twitter. Giannis Antetokounmpo has a really good case for MVP.
Yeah.
Because both Nikola and Giannis basically make 45 points per game for their teams with points
Yeah.
and points of assists. It's just insanity what those two guys are doing. And of course, Luka is producing a lot as well. But, Luka is not on the top of the list because of those bad couple of months at the beginning. But I would, because, when next week comes, we'll probably have a much more clear image of who
if
will
Luka
be the
was
MVP.
just, if the thing is, the funny thing is, if Luka was just a little bit, like if he didn't have that residual like stress on his body and tiredness from the Olympics, and he had to decompress, and just timelines didn't match for him to get back in shape before the season, he'd be the MVP. Like he's doing better. He's on, like, he's basically Jokic last year, like third in the third. Just those first month sucks, but like
That's right.
third in the West, pretty good record. Like with no All Stars, no backup, basically in like the high level. Like I don't think he has a high level scorer on his team next to him. Like Hardaway was hurt during the season. It's the only one that had any in his career like had any great scoring seasons, like decent scoring seasons. So like if he just took that part of the season better, and they weren't winning, that was the problem. Is if they were losing, then he just turns it around, but like they were also winning with decent enough defense then, so you couldn't really like give it to him. But yeah, he's like very very good MVP case.
So not that it's very important, but let's just exchange our top 5 ballots for the MVP. I will go with Nikola, Giannis, Embiid, Luka, and Booker, just to be on the traditional side and give props to Booker as the best player on the best team. What do you say?
Yeah, I think I'm probably there with you. Like Tatum is the only one that's fighting with Booker, but they're very similar, I think, to so you have to give it a little bit to Booker because of the the great team, great player type. But I think that I'm glad that argument's falling wayside. And I know people are upset of like, well, there's always different criteria in the seasons. Like last few, they haven't been like since Giannis started winning. The criteria hasn't been only because he's the best player and the best team. Like it's getting more evolved and more interesting than just like, oh, this is a good team, so of course the best player is going to be the most valuable. But it's like, no, actually, like if you have a good team, you have a great floor. Like no one's going to say John Moran sucks and Memphis is better without him. The point is they have a great team, and with him, they're a greater team. And it's just, but like with the other guys, like obviously then someone, whatever they want to, whatever their criteria is, like voting wise. But I think it's more evolved against Giannis, because Harden was like this, racking up stats and being like up there in the West, but then Giannis was doing much more complete rounded out games, so he was winning the MVP then. So I'm glad it's past that. Like of course he should be top 5. I'm not saying he shouldn't, because again he's not. It's not like he's just a regular old best, like a little bit above everyone else. So like he's 26-5-5 in a in a whatever 47 over 500 500 record. Like that's great. But again, like,
did you see that stat? Phoenix have more road wins this season than any other team at home.
Yeah, they have like a better winning percentage. Yeah, that's insane.
Crazy.
Yeah, but you can't do that's things. You can't do that with one. Like, Denver's not going to do that. Like with just one guy doing everything. Like
Of
it's
course.
and we talk about the valuable. It's not the most outstanding or like whatever the hell it. I mean, even that is just different. Like or I don't know best, but best is just like then you give it regardless of injury than what you think is the best player, and it's again whatever for whatever. Like it's the regular season. Of course, for playoffs you might want someone else because you think the style of play that Jokic has can win a title. But that's again your objective thing. That's why GMs get fired and hired. And but yeah, that's the it's. I mean, I'm yeah. The discourse was weird. Like I'm that those are top fives, I guess. And honestly, I think MVP. I was looking at the other awards. Like MVP might be like the easiest to vote on compared to like all like some of the other ones, like most improved and six man of the years and rookie of the year, coach of the year. Those are kind of tricky to parse out because there's so many choices to get from the other ones.
That's
But
right.
yeah,
I agree.
should we move on
Yeah.
from ranting because we can go about all day. I'm pissed about this topic. So we're going to Euro take foul
Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry.
because I saw some mention in the comments
I'm producing.
about
Sorry, guys.
yeah about the Reed contract that he hasn't been playing. So Euro take foul is we might think about something else for that's Serbian more related for next time. But this is the worst thing we can come up. And
Yeah.
if they
Because
outlaw
everything in Serbia is so great, we couldn't find
we
a
could
bad Serbian thing. So
exactly like okay.
what you gonna do?
So, but this is one of the more universal ones when like, it's a foul and then a raised hand. Like it's one of the most annoying things in basketball. And if they outlaw it, we might have to outlaw it next year. Yeah, so it's a Reed contract. Like the fact that he didn't get one for the playoffs. Um, you start off like and I'll kind of go into that.
Yeah, I already said that I'm pretty pissed that Reed wasn't converted into the regular roster spot because now he will not be available for the playoffs. He is he is basically the only 6'6" guy we have on the team outside of Will Barton, and we can agree that his defense was better than what Will was providing during the season. Of course, Will is a much more dynamic player, and this is why he is a starter, and Reed is the off the bench guy. And I don't even think that Reed would be a piece of regular playoff rotation, but shit happens during the playoffs, and sometimes you need to call up the guys on the 10th, 11th, 12th spot, and now we will not have him. And this just shows me the lack of ambition before the playoffs. Now you can go about it put a theory in two different directions
Yeah.
here. Maybe they know Jamal is coming back, so they have an extra guard in the rotation. So this is why they don't necessarily want to count on Davon. And you can go the other way around. They're sure that neither Jamal or Porter is coming back. So what's the point of bringing him when there's no real ambition in the playoffs? But one thing I have to say, even though, as I said, I am angry about him not being the part of the playoff rotation, I also get the other part, and that's the human part of it. You would need to part with either Vlatko or Faku to make room for Davon. And I mean, those are human beings, and Vlatko could still possibly come back for the end of the season. I don't think he will, but it's not completely out of the question. And Faku is your safety blanket in case something happens to one of the point guards on top of him in the rotation. So yeah, I kind of get it, but I mean, for how long do we want to be cheap about the team?
So
It's
my
season 7.
yeah, I agree. So I agree with you. The lack of any of that urgency there, and it's so few things. I agree with the human aspect. Okay, they want to be the franchise that doesn't leave people out, out of the street. That's fine. That would also work if they didn't trade PJ Dozier when he tore his ACL for once. For secondly, it's end of the season anyway. Vlatko's a free agent, I think.
He's a
Uh,
restricted free agent, so
Okay, so
he
he's
could come
restricted. So
back.
that's a little
Yeah,
bit of a different like okay they can match if they release him he's a free agent blah blah.
and so is Faku, by the way. Both of those guys
Yeah, no,
can
it is
match.
so Faku. I guess you kind of have to like if you're counting on Murray not coming back, you kind of have to have another point guard just in case because we saw Monte almost got hurt against Spurs, so you don't want to be left with like Rivers and Barton just as your de facto point guards. So I get Falk was at least healthy. Like for me, it was just have healthy bodies because again, you could be
Yeah,
that Barton is hurt again, and then you need a guard or Rivers. God forbid, like he's one defensive player and he gets hurt and you don't have basically anyone, then you're not defending anything. That's why I'm just have bodies. You already have Zeke, it's hurt, and Vlatko's out. Like Marcus can't play, obviously, like he's on a two-way, additionally as well. Forbes is out of your rotation, so now you're like building this like playoff push without Forbes in the lineup, and now you're just gonna go back to him because your hands are tied for the
that's right.
playoff push. And it's like, yes, I know them. They probably like you said, like Obishan, they're not gonna win a title at all. But like, why even like take away more? Make Jokic even work harder, not having like a single defensive, 3-and-D guy on the team. So that was just, I mean, it was completely illogical. Like Vlaco, like okay, restricted. Like they're gonna if they match, they match. Like if he signs with someone else, they might not even match it. Like he's gonna be a free agent, so what? You can still sign him back. Again, I'm saying this. I'm hoping I'm right. Like they can still sign him if they release him in the free agency. Like it's still not. It's not like you're traded, so you have to wait a year to come back to the team. This is
That's
just a
right. That's right.
wave and
Yeah,
sign. Like you can do that during the year. So I don't understand. And they can still like he did rehab with them. They could probably can still offer him to be and go. Maybe not use like coaches, but like on the down low, they can probably give him rehab stuff to do, like use facilities, give him a seat on the behind the bench, like in the audience, but like one row behind, like can still be a part of the team. Like PJ was part of the team when he was traded for a little bit, and like some of these guys, like they're allowed. I don't know where was that. One of the other teams had like a thing they cut someone, but they still allowed him to be a part of the practices and stuff. Like,
yeah,
so it's just that's the sucky part. Like, yeah, see Reed asked about Zeke. Like, yeah, he's probably not playing. So you just have more bodies. Like it was now it's dumb. He's just gonna sit there in street clothes, a part of the team, but not be able to play. Like, it's weird unless they the NBA decides the day before the playoffs, like, okay, we're allowing two-way guys to play. Like,
which is not impossible.
I mean, it could be. Who knows?
We've
I mean, I
seen
don't know
crazy
why.
stuff.
Honestly, I don't know why not. Like, why wouldn't you allow them? Like, who the hell cares? Like, especially with all these like injuries, you can be like, hey, this is a hardship thing. Like, allow him to play. We're still paying him. Like, it's just a
Yeah,
weird thing.
I think they're kind of trying to show that the second half of this season was almost normal. So we're trying to get back to the normal, regular rules that apply for any normal season, and that's probably why they're doing it that way. And it's not like the teams didn't have the chance to do it. I mean, you can see we spoke about that last week. I think you see every day, every hour, another team,
I mean,
waving a
doing
guy
up until the
to
deadline,
sign.
Milwaukee was
Yeah,
cutting a injured player, signing someone
yeah,
else. Like Atlanta signed a guy off the G League, and that was one of the weird things that it was. So it was yesterday after the deadlines, they were signing guys off the G League, so that's allowed. But the two-way, you couldn't sign him past the deadline. So now Nuggets couldn't
hmm.
sign Reed, but they can sign like whoever's on there, like what's the Duval from the Grand Rapids Gold, or I don't know, Matt Ryan. I think he signed for the Celtics. Like one of those
Yeah.
guys. Like they can bring in, maybe they can bring like Peter Corneli as a two-way to sign before the playoffs, but they couldn't do their own two-way guy. Like it's one
Yeah,
of those
and
weird rules. Like
Nuggets legend Ray John Tucker is also signed somewhere
I'm so
yesterday.
mad. I still have faith. Well, he was in Milwaukee for a few
Yeah,
years.
that's right. That's
That
right.
was that's
Yeah,
that, but it was also like a multi-year thing, and that was like my guy. But Reed turned out to be a little bit better. But so that's like we're going to the psyche parts. Now let's go to our brick.
yeah.
Let's go
Before
to
that,
our
I just wanted
oh
to
yeah
say something. I was mad about the Reed fact also because we were always also kind of thinking that he could be the new PJ Dozier,
yeah
a two-way guy that becomes a multiple-year guy after that for cheap. And now I don't think he will return to the Nuggets if he gets a single, offer
yeah
from any
they
team
might
right
they
now.
might not
I wouldn't blame him for not coming back.
yeah me neither. Like
Honestly.
because what I mean, like you didn't want to sign him for, like he was part of your. It's one of those like, man, you're like using me to get to the playoffs, and then you're just gonna sit me down and play a guy you not trust because like
They
what.
would literally have to give him like $50,000 for the
Yeah,
remainder of the
yeah,
season, which is insanity how small
yeah,
it is.
yeah. It sucks. Well,
Okay.
it's fine when you think about that. That's a week of work, like,
That's
but and
right.
someone's year salary in America. But yeah, but it is, yeah, it is what it is now. Like, we just gotta live with it. I still like Forbes, like, for some aspects, and he might still decide a game in the playoffs with the
Sure.
shooting. Like, it just that this was, you already using Reed. That was my thing. Is like, if you're using him, if it weren't used, like if it was Forbes all this time and
Of
Reed was
course.
just sitting there, like, fine. But like, you shifted him into rotation just this early before the playoffs, and then you're just gonna have to, like, revert back. And it is. It is. But maybe Forbes was a little tired, hurt. Like, maybe it wasn't just kicking him out of rotation. Like, who knows? They don't tell us this stuff, but
Of
from what
course.
it looked like more of a rotation shift, and then not signing him doesn't make sense to me.
I agree.
Now let's go to Burek. Let's get some nicer, juicier stuff too. So it's a juicy pastry dish from home, either with cheese and spinach and meat, or meat, like, either or. Well known because Nikola used to like it a lot, and we still like it, so we kept it. We got disgruntled viewers that said we should get better pictures of Burek's, uh, and we might work on that. That's like the upgraded version of Serbian Corner
Yeah,
with
Eric
some
did that.
homemade, like.
Sorry.
Well,
Sorry.
I'll have to make Burek and then take a picture of it and then do the graphics for with Eric.
Yeah, but you
Uh,
have to mail me 1/4 of the whole bunch, so
yeah,
I have to check it out first.
yeah, fair. So let's go to Boric. It's the playoff preview. So now yeah, I guess because we will see if we can get another show in before the playoff start, or we're gonna go past, like, when they start playing games, because obviously the DVNR guys are doing post games, pre games, all the previews and stuff. We're just kind of a supplementary pod. So what we'll do now is we'll talk about Dallas and Golden State as our potential playoff matchups. Right, Utah can be our matchup right there,
No, okay. So
but
let
they
me
can
just give
go to
you
four. Yeah.
a short breakdown of how the things look right now. So the Denver Nuggets can be only the 6th seed or the 5th seed right now if Utah loses the last game versus the Blazers, and Denver wins versus the Lakers. Denver will be the 5th seed. So this is the only scenario where Denver finishes 5th. Now
Yeah.
let's see at the 3rd and the 4th seed on the other side of the bracket. Golden State has 2 games left, and those games are on a back-to-back
That's
versus the
crazy.
Spurs and Pelicans.
Okay, at least they're not
And
playing
they
for
need
anything. But
to win both of those games to secure the 3rd seed, or at least one if Dallas loses their last game against, well, what do you know? Spurs again. So Spurs are playing both Golden State and
yeah, well,
Dallas Mavericks.
I mean, I guess Golden State is playing for something. You want to avoid Phoenix in the second round.
Of course.
Yeah.
I hope they will go that route and that Denver can pick them as well. So let's see what happens with the other guys. Spurs, they can leapfrog the Pelicans if they win both games. So they have something to play for. They could try to win against both Dallas and Golden State to get to the 9 spot to have the home court advantage against the New Orleans Pelicans in that first playing game. But also Pelicans would need to lose both of their games versus Sacramento and New York, and Sacramento and New York have nothing to play for anymore. So I guess
Yeah.
the Pelicans will win at least in one of those games. So yeah, Spurs will probably not be motivated in the last game at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So probably you
And
can.
so comment as a reminder, Luka got his 16 technical last night, so uh,
Oh
he's not. If they don't rescind it, because it was obviously, you guess who the ref was. They gave.
yeah, it was Tony Brothers,
Yeah. So he
our
can't
good
play.
friend.
Yeah, he can't play the last game if they don't rescind it. Which I don't think they will. For some reason, they're afraid of Tony. And didn't like rescind the Rivers ones. It was absurd. So that's an interesting one. So yeah, Dallas might end up getting fourth just by him not playing. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you like better? What do you want better?
Yeah.
Like
So
Golden State or Dallas? Because yeah, so I mean, I saw the
Dallas,
comments. Obviously, we're underdogs. Like we're not talking about this
of
like,
course.
oh, we're better than both teams. Let's say who we're picking. It's like, who do
Listen,
you think we're
before the season,
less underdogs?
yeah, before the season, if you asked me if I want to play the Mavs in the first round, I would say of course, because I didn't expect Mavs to be this good. I mean, credit to Jason Kidd. Really, everybody uh, was really pushing the narrative of him being a really bad coach. And granted, he wasn't a great coach in the past, but I think it was more related to his out of the court things than on the court things. And really, he transformed that Dallas team from a very bad defensive team to a great defensive team, which doesn't make a lot of sense because when you look at the players playing in their rotations, I mean, you have Doncic, who was always considered the minus on defense. You have Jalen Brunson, who is pretty small. You have Reggie Bullock, who was always, a three three pointer, 3 point specialist, not a really great defender. And then you have some pretty good guys in Dorian Finney-Smith and Dwight Powell. But when you look at those names, it doesn't feel like a great defensive team. So kudos to them for pulling it off. And of course, that connection between Luka and Dwight Powell on the lobs is working really well. So
Yeah,
that's a really great part of it. You remember Dwight Powell had that really horrible injury a couple of seasons
yeah, you
ago.
got the Achilles.
Now, yeah, so now he is really back to where he was a couple of years ago. So kudos to him as well. And on the other side, you have the Warriors, with a really good starting lineup, potentially really good starting lineup because we don't know when
Yeah.
Steph is really going to come back. But if they have Steph, they have Clay, they have Wiggins. Yeah, Wiggins used to be a brain fart guy for a lot of his career, but he's long and he is a good scorer, so he's not a minus on that squad. And then you get the greatest defender probably in the history in Draymond Green and Kevin Looney, who is I'm sticking with that for you. I'm sticking with the fact that Draymond is the best defender of all times. Fight me for that. And we
I'm not,
have
I love Draymond. I'm not gonna fight you.
yeah, I know. And then we have Looney, who is a pretty solid five. They don't have a lot of guys behind him to play against Jokic. But let's face it, not a lot of teams really have good solutions against Jokic outside of the starting five. So it's hard to say. I mean, from what we've seen this year, the fact that Warriors had like one game with all of their guys together, only one game, that kind of gives us more hope against the Warriors. Mavs looks pretty scary, but I don't know. Neither of them. I think Mavs have a bit more problems with Nikola Jokic in that matchup.
Well, I think he kills both.
Complete.
Well, it's interesting. So there's a few things there that, like, again, I'm gonna repeat myself for people who watched the Nuggets Serbia thing from earlier, but and Marco was basically saying so Barton is the key. So with Warriors, the bottom line is why we're saying rather Warriors than Dallas, and I'm still torn. Like I still think probably better Golden State to play against than Dallas because the Steph thing. Like he's gonna get back, and he can. It's a wrist. Like he might be shooting poorly. Like is it wrist, right? Wrist
Yeah,
injury. Yeah,
yeah, I think
because
so.
his foot was like previously. Yeah, so like it can be bad shooting days. Like and he's still gonna shoot. They're not gonna not give him the shoot. So that's like one of the reasons. Again, Clay's coming back. Like he's been up and down. So like you even live with that a little bit. And then the reason why, and then so both teams kind of have similar situations with guarding Jokic. I see comments that it's talking about who's going to guard him, can they guard him, all that. Basically, short answer, no, they can't really guard him. The longer, complicated answer is who's going to be reffing, what kind of criteria they can allow, because we've seen more problems for Jokic in the getting tired, getting beaten up, getting angry department when he plays shorter guys and smaller guys because the refs give him a lot more leeway. Two hands on the back, like we've seen a lot of examples, like from Kawhi Looney in that game, like he was scratching, clawing, and not even getting fifth fouls. it just depends on the criteria that they put on. Like, and then Draymond and Looney together, that's like also a combo like that. With the other one is Powell and Kleber. Same thing is like they're smaller. They might get away with more depending on if the refs are giving respect to Jokic or not, or thinking like, or if the game is going that direction that they're basically with their physicality, they're forcing the refs not to call it because otherwise they'll all both have 6 fouls within like first 10 minutes. So those are a couple things. And then Barton is a big question mark. First, we haven't seen him in a while in the playoffs healthy, and if he's healthy at all, if he get those 10 days, if it helps. We've seen Barton after All-Star break and beginning of the season, all these like, so at least if he can give you like in that first round 1 or 2 games, one great game and then playing off of that high in the second game, especially if they're away games, to try to win those, and then get basically like house money. The defensively, as far as Dallas is concerned, like they have more of that spread out. Like Bert Dons always kills us.
Yeah,
Dinwiddie's off the bench, so it's going to be that Bones versus Dinwiddie kind of like X factor thing. If Dinwiddie doesn't start, then you have Monte versus Jalen Brunson. Brunson's giving a little bit of issues to Monte. He's strong, he's smart. Obviously shooters all over. Like that's the issue with Denver with like trying to like because they get penetration, they allow penetration, so they're scrambling a lot of times. Mavs are good in using that. Warriors obviously are great in
yeah,
taking advantage of that. It's just that so now it's Barton mirrored with maybe Clay. Like if is Clay going to be able to run by him, or if Monte's on Clay, is Clay's going to be able to post up? That's like one matchup I'm looking for. Besides the Jokic one, is will they start like will they start pooling Clay and Steph together somehow and like with Wiggins and Draymond completely small off the bat, or are they going to have Looney play all the time and then have Poole off the bench? Then Poole and Bones matchup is just paramount of not just scoring but like how well they're going to control their second units. That's like
yeah,
a very big question mark because it's first playoffs for Bones. Poole hasn't been into the playoffs, so like it's his again his first, but then he's having a better season, more confident season in like running in the with the starters. And then one of the bigger ones for Denver side is will Malone, after a game or two, if it doesn't work, will he pull the trigger and start Rivers and shadow Rivers on Curry? Because the last few games when we saw Rivers playing well, good defense on Curry was because Barton was out.
yeah,
And he was mirroring him in that really good game when basically they were in full strength. Warriors were. Oh, I guess Draymond wasn't playing, but they're like the
yeah.
guards were in full strength. He was mirroring him, and he in the times where he wasn't, that's when they turned that game around. And so I'm looking at that. If he doesn't start him, will the Warriors get up to a big lead? And then during the game, will he have to adjust? And will the Denver have enough power to catch up with that lead if the Monte Barton defensive lineup at the guard lineup doesn't do well, which all indications point to like they probably won't do well. So that's
Yeah.
those are my big question marks, and that's why I think Barton's the linchpin there because of these deficiencies that we've seen this year. Some of it through his like lack of interest, some of it through his just lack of physical ability at this point. He can play defense. We've seen him play defense, but will he? So that's those are some of the Golden State. Like that's why I'm interested. So Denver's not a favorite in either of those games, either of those series. It's just that I've seen them play extremely well to beat Phoenix and in full strength, and then also lose to like Orlando. So
The reason I'm I mean, it all depends on really if Steph is playing or not, or if are we going to get a really good Steph? Are we going to get Steph who is struggling a lot because of the injury he just came out of? So if we do get the healthy Steph, I would argue that Mavs starting lineup is a better matchup for Nuggets just because of Jalen Brunson, because you have who to put Monte on,
yeah, fair.
because on Warriors are huge. I mean, Steph is the smallest guy, and you
And
cannot put
he's
Monte
tall.
on
Yeah,
him. Yeah,
yeah.
and he is tall, and you need. Okay, I agree. Rivers is the best there, but who is guarding Clay then? That's a really big one. Clay is a huge guy. Of course, he's not as maybe as quick as he used to be, before, but he turned out to be a really positive player during this season, even though he had a pretty rough start at the beginning, which was, of course, very, very expected of him. So a great story for Clay, and of course we cheer for every player to have good health and
well,
good
especially
results,
I love
because
Clay, so like
everybody loves
it would really hurt me. That's one of those like I don't want to root against Doncic. I want if Dallas and Denver can like split up and like because now there's no Porzingis, so I can actually root for Dallas
right.
in their matchups. Like and obviously I was rooting for them against the Clippers, but like I can actually just be invested in Doncic's like trajectory without Porzingis. So I don't want to face him in that direction. And Warriors have won enough. Like I can root against him now. With like you got yours, like especially coming back after 2013 upset. Like it would be fun to do a reverse one now for the Nuggets.
I really love the fact that they've lost Porzingis and they didn't skip a beat. I mean, of course, Dinwiddie was really good for them since he came there.
Yeah.
Bertans was here and there, but they gave away their second best scorer on the team, and they just didn't feel it at all. That's how good Luka is. So kudos for that decision, because it was the one that they needed to do, and hopefully, we'll finish the story about Porzingis as a top 30 or top 40 guy in the league, because he obviously isn't that.
Yeah, I don't really care. You can be whatever.
a bit of shade from me for the end of this segment.
Yeah.
Let's do the flirty dozen. We didn't do that for
we haven't done that in a while. Let's do that. We have the graphics for that. So this is Miro comes out with a stat for me to guess, and if we have a guest, both of us are pitted against each other or together. Now it's gonna be me and the chat. So chat, I know we have a delay between like what we actually talking by the time it gets to you through the interwebs. But when Miro asks a question, Miroslav asks a question, I'll try to guess as many people as I can, and you guys give me hints. So we have about 7 minutes to finish this. Yeah. Is it going to be a dozen this time?
It's going to be a dozen, and it's going to be a really easy one.
Okay, let's do it. Let's try on all of it myself, and then
we've been doing this story about LeBron being the best scorer in the league.
Damn.
And he will not be, because he don't have enough games. Unfortunately, I'm so sad for that.
He could have been. They would have put 0 on those games, and he could have still qualified. It's just that Embiid's.
Yeah, if he averaged like 33 points per game, that would be enough.
Yeah, but it's now it's like he's below, and Embiid's like now scored already 30 against Indiana, so he's
okay.
He's
so the flirty dozen for today is we want to name the 12 best scorers in the league, but in total points, not in points per game, but in total points. Because we will see some interesting guys. Not interesting guys. I think we know all of the guys there, but their positions could be really interesting.
Yeah, I kind of want to do this because we do what I do with my friends back home is we do a total points fantasy, just only points.
Oh, so damn it! This is too easy for you.
Well, no, I haven't followed. That's the thing is like last year I would like input into Excel myself, so I knew all of those. This year we automated it with the program, so it's picking up from Basketball Reference. So I haven't seen the table in a while. I know Trae Young's number 1 because he's my guy. He's my number 1 pick.
Trae Young is number 1.
Young,
21, 27.
Yeah, Trae Young, Jason Tatum, DeMar DeRozan.
Jason Tatum is number 4 with 2,015, and DeMar DeRozan is number 2 with 2,118 points. So you got 1, 2, and 4.
1, 2, and 4. So number 3, let's see, volume scorers that played a lot of games. I'll do Jokic because he should be
very
there.
Very good. Jokic is number 5 with 2,004 points.
Okay, so we have the next one. I'll put Towns at somewhere.
Towns, excellent. He is number 9.
He's also my number 2 pick.
1,818.
18. So yeah, I don't think Miles Bridges got up that far. He was good, but I don't think he got up that far. For now, I'll leave him for my later if I don't have any other in my head. See who else was on some of the best scorers. Well, LeBron, let's see total points for him.
Yes, LeBron is number 11 in
11.
this.
Yeah. So I know he's lower, but like it was a good.
I think it was Dave DeFord that said, "Come on, guys, just give it to the guy that made the most points
exactly.
in
I
the
mean,
season."
yeah, that's the
Why?
best scorer.
Why do the points per game? That doesn't
It's
make
so
any
dumb.
sense.
Well, Giannis, let's do him.
Yeah, of course,
Oh,
Giannis is number 6.
Is he 6?
Yeah.
So he's not 3.
Number 6, just over 2,000 points.
That's crazy. Let me see what I'm missing on 3 because I have Trey and Tatum and DeRozan is 2. So let's see who's number 3 there. Volume points, how many games they played. Donovan Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell is on the list. He's number 10. You haven't made one single miss so far. So you've got 8 guys, four left. Number 3,
left,
number 7,
8.
number 8, and number 12.
It's so. What did I say? Embiid?
You didn't say Embiid. He's number 3. He's number 3.
Yeah, that's
with
what I already said.
2,038 points. Fun fact, he only has 34 points more than Nikola Jokic. So
how much?
34 points more than Nikola Jokic.
That's so dumb. Yeah, you're right. Like it's so stupid that they're doing points per game.
Really dumb. It's really dumb.
Well, let's see who is on the because 26 per game. I don't think Booker played as many. Let's see Booker. Maybe that's a miss.
Booker is number 7. He's number
He
7
is number
with
7. Great,
1,800 points. Yeah.
2
more left.
1,800. Let's see. Ja didn't play enough games. Steph, I don't think played enough games. Trying to go back to what my guys had in what we picked. Let's see. What's the cutoff? Can you just give me that? Like, what's the lowest?
The cutoff is 1635.
1635.
Yeah.
Well, Miles is close. I think. I'll try with my heart once for the miss. I think Miles Bridges is very close.
Miles Bridges is close, but he's not.
He's like 15 or something, probably.
Let me pull it out. I have it somewhere. I think I have it, or maybe I don't. Miles Bridges is number 15.
50, yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
So I have 12 and
12 and 8.
12 and 8 left. So past LeBron, who has a lot of points but not enough games. Let's see, 55 times. See Durant.
Durant is not on the list. Let me just check his position. He is number 14 on the list.
So close. Yeah, I was trying to do math, but didn't do well. Let's see. Who's in the scoring wise? Let's see. So there's a guy from Michael Jordan, former team. It's not from Wizards. Should be Luka.
Luka is right, even though he is not from the Michael Jordan.
No, but I'm in my head. I'm like, it's like, well, I didn't say.
Luka is correct, and only the 12th guy.
Well, you know, I got to Luka because I was thinking about the Wizards, Porzingis, and then Beal and Porzingis then went back to Dallas.
Yeah, that's how the synapses work.
Is he 8 or 12?
Luka was 8, so 8. We just need the guy with 1635.
So someone with close to LeBron, with as many either little points or a lot of games with less points or similar with injuries. It's gonna be dumb if it's like Westbrook because he has like 79 games and like 18 a game or some stupid stuff, but I don't think that's it. Trey, what did I miss there? I'm trying to.
So you have a good clue. So this guy actually plays for former Michael Jordan's team. It's not the Wizards.
I mean, it's just the Bulls. Zach LaVine?
LaVine.
Oh, wow. He's that high. He's 12.
Zach LaVine is number 12. They've had such a great run, him and DeRozan, at the beginning of the season.
That's nuts. Yeah. He's got almost 3. Yeah, you're right. Cool.
So I'm like, what was
awesome. Like 12 out of 15? 12
15, something like that. 12 15, which is great efficiency, even greater than Nikola Jokic. And I just want to leave this segment with a shout out to Trae Young, who is the guy with the most points and most assists in all of the NBA. Kudos, Trae. Great job.
Great job. I agree. My number one pick. Let's go. Okay, cool. Thanks. Yeah, thanks everyone for watching. I see some. There's a Levine comment coming in from last. I said like we have a delay, so by the
Yeah.
time we see your comments, we probably said it or the other way around. So yeah, cool. Thank you everyone for watching. It was a great week, all in all. Even though San Antonio game sucked, but we didn't talk about that. We had the headband game, the historic season, probably clinching the MVP. We'll see.
We
Please,
also got the win in Los Angeles with MVP chance
yeah, that's how long the week is. I didn't even forgot that it was there.
yeah, that's
Um,
right.
and so yeah, it's just the thing. Like if we don't, we'll see when the MVP comes. Just we talked about the MVP. Just be normal when if Jokic doesn't win, because who knows? He at this point he should. There's these few voices that allowed him might not even have the votes to vote against him. So
Yeah.
don't like think just only TNT and ESPN are controlling him. There's a lot of media that actually know what they're doing. So even if Giannis wins or Embiid wins, don't go nuts. It's a great season. It's historic. Giannis and Jokic will have the best PR in the history. Jokic then Giannis in the history of the
Yeah.
league. So player efficiency
Jokic is
rating.
also
So
the best BPM in history, box plus minus.
yeah,
in
that's
history.
yeah.
Better than LeBron, better than Michael Jordan.
So that's just a friendly reminder from us because I had a big ass rant about about the craziness of Discord about MVP. So yeah, follow us on Twitter on all the other spheres. Follow the Nugget Serbia, what we do on our stuff, and DNVR guys. They had the baseball yesterday opening game. They're all hyped. I don't get it, but good for them.
Hey, it looks fun. Come on.
It looked fun. It looked fun. Yeah, obviously Russell Wilson's in town, so that Broncos are going nuts, and he was in the courtside for that other game. So, all in all, it's gonna be fun summer anyway. Whatever the Nuggets do, I think they're a great season. They had a great season. They hit their over. They had probably the back-to-back MVP. So enjoy. It could be much worse.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right, have an idemo Nuggets.
Idemo Nuggets.